Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Today we are going to learn function arguments and what are the types of arguments are actually available in section function. We do have four different types of arguments. Basically, we can pass the function. We can define four different type of arguments. One is we can specify positional arguments. That is positional argument will just tell you what is positional argument, what is default arguments, what is keyword arguments versus arbitrary keyword arguments, and then we do have a concept known as variable length arguments or arbitrary arguments. So these are the things we are going to learn about, how it is working and all. We'll go through it and then try to understand then how it is working. Okay, so now let us uh, start exploring the positional arguments first. The first one. So let me go to PyCharm. And okay, so this was set traversal function arguments. Let me close this out. Here we go. And then right click new Python file. So I'm just giving function positional argument. Okay. So function positional argument. Let us see now how it is going to work. Let's say I'm just defining a function define. Maybe I'm defining a function like KYC to know your customer, and then I'm just giving here your name, and then giving ID. Maybe I can actually give ID card, IDC, and then I can give location. Okay, and then defining here the function body print name is. Let me make it very simple, then we can actually go ahead, write another function with complex example. Now name, I'm just giving name. What is the name here? Name is name. Okay, and then print. Ideally, function can actually insert the data to the database too. We can call the function, pass the arguments, and in turn the data will be actually returned back to the database. So that is quite possible. We can actually do it in our database session. Upcoming database session, right? We can do that, write functions, then manipulate the data, store it, or retrieve the data from database. All these things are actually possible. Now, print, I'm just giving ID. Let's say I'm just giving another type here, ID type. ID type is a variable, and then let's an ID number, and then location. Now here I'm just giving ID type. The ID type I'm just giving here whatever ID type we are having, right? So I'm just giving ID type. Then I do have something here. Let's say ID number. ID. I'm just giving an ID. Here I'm just giving ID number. Okay, and print. Here I'm just sending processing center. I'm just giving location here, where the data is getting processed. Okay, so now here I have a function main. I'm just calling it as main. Let me do one thing, print, or I can directly call the function KYC of name is Subhasis or Subbu. I'm just giving my ID as passport, and then I can specify here ID number is something ABCD 1234. Okay, this is not a valid passport number anyway, so I have the location Bangalore. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, let us see what is going to happen here. Here you can see name is Subbu, ID type is passport, then ID is this, and then processing center is Bangalore. What if I'm just passing the parameters differently? Here I'm just passing the parameter. Here it is known as positional argument. We should pass the value as per the given position. System cannot able to identify it. Let's say for example, instead of Subbu, I have just given India, and instead of Bangalore, I have just given Subbu, and instead of passport, I have just given passport number. Let's say ASDC 1234, and here I'm just giving my ID card is PAN card. Now, PAN. This is let's say I'm just giving here Deepak for example, Deepak. Now in this case, we cannot change the order. Why? Because we are dependent on the position. Let us look at here the data. Here you can see this is Subbu's record and this is Deepak's record. It's saying like Subbu's record is fine because we are calling it in the proper order. But if you look at Deepak's record, it is like saying name is India, processing center is Deepak, ID is pen, ID type is something else. We cannot change the order, guys. We cannot change the order. So this is the reason why it is known as positional arguments. Okay. So example of positional argument. So it should stick to positional argument. It should stick to the exact position. Where we want like an ID type, we have to pass the ID type. If it is like position number 2, ID type should be position number 2. If it is ID number is at position number 3 in this case, it should be always at position number 3. Otherwise, it cannot actually detect. Let's say, for example, I have another example like KYC and then know your customer, and here I'm just giving like your guess, and I'm just giving here UID, that is Aadhaar ID card, and then I have the other number like this 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, then 9098 or something like this. Then I've just given here Karnataka. Okay, now here it is going to work fine because we are actually passing in the correct order. System cannot detect that. Okay, system cannot detect that. So everything is actually working as expected. So this kind of parameter passing is known as positional arguments. The next type of argument is known as keyword argument. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to reuse the same KYC function, but we'll do it differently to understand like what do you mean by keyword argument. Now function, here I'm just giving like keyword argument. Keyword argument. Now I'm just having this a function and which has the same thing and like a name, I type and all these things, right? So while calling the function, I'm just going to tell hey, my name is, I can say here name equals to Devasis. Okay, and let's say I'm just giving think about like processing center, right? Processing center is like nothing but our location. I'm just giving location equals to India, and I'm just giving here let's say the third argument, I'm just giving ID type equals to passport, and then ID number equals to, I'm just giving 1 2 3 4. Think about like this kind of arguments is known as keyword argument. Keyword argument. You can pass in any order. You can pass in any order. Here you can see I've given Devasis, India, passport, and then 1 2 3 4. But here we do have like different. But always make sure while passing this, the name should actually match. Okay. So now if I'm running this program, here you can see it is having all the Devasis data over here. What if I'm not giving like the name, I'm just giving name 1, definitely we are going to experience error. So what is that error? Here you can see KYC got an unexpected keyword argument name 1 because it should exactly match with the name variable over here. So whatever the variable name you have actually used here, this parameter name, the same parameter name you need to use. You cannot introduce a new parameter. Let's say you are calling this function and then thinking I can actually give here, let's say just like the job equals to AC or SSC. Okay. Now job is not there. Job is not defined. If I'm calling this function, what's going to happen? I'm just going to get the same error message. It is saying like a keyword argument is job. So this job is actually not defined. Okay, so job cannot actually be accepted in KYC function. Now we can actually remove that and run it again. It should actually work as expected. What if whenever you are actually calling this function, right? I can call this function like this. Already Subbu passport and all these details are there. and I can actually specify this. Like either you pass it in the order or you can specify in the key value pair. Now here if I'm running this, here you can see this is how it is actually going to work. Okay, so here you can see Subbu's details and here you can see the basis details. Let us do one thing. Let us have something like this. Okay, let us have something like this. I can actually specify, let's say the first value is the basis. The first value I've given the basis, and I did not actually specify name. In this case, okay, let me do one thing. Let me change the ID, like the name to your guess. Okay, your guess, your guess, your guess, and then India, then passport. I'm just giving you like GX. So now look at here, like what's going to happen, we'll understand from the output. This time we are not using any variable name or parameter name, but we are passing a value. Like what is going to happen, let us try to understand from here. So when we are actually doing this, let us look at your guess details, it is just going to name. Whenever we are having like the variable names like this, like in the order we are not specifying, then system is going to take care of this. But what if you are actually using something similar to this? Let's say I have the data like here instead of devices, I'm just giving like Subbu, but I'm not giving ID number. I'm just giving like 1, 2, 3, 4. Already system is flagging the error. What is the error message it is flagging? Positional argument after the keyword argument. That means always remember the positional argument should be at the beginning, then followed by the keyword argument. Okay, so now here we go. Positional arguments, positional argument should be first before keyword argument. Okay, so now in this case, this is a error message. So in this case, it is error. I'm just saying, just documenting it here. Like this is error. Okay. Now, what if I'm just giving like this in the middle? Okay. I'm just giving. Okay, that's fine. I can specify like this is ID number, right? So I'm just specifying here like ID number equals this, and then I'm not specifying ID type equals to passport. It is also going to give the error. Middle also not allowed. This is also error. Okay. So now how do we correct it? How do we correct it? The correct order is the positional arguments should be passed first. Sorry, we should pass it first. Then we can say, let's say first one is name, and then what is the other one? Like ID type is passport. Then we can actually just cut paste it, and then here, right? And then location. Okay, another variable here. Location equals to India, ID equals this. This is going to work absolutely fine. If I'm giving like BX, so now here if I'm running this program, here you can see like it is working fine. Let us look at the last value. So now it is saying name, ID type passport, ID equals to BX, this one, and location is India. You can interchange. You can interchange. When you are actually using this combination, we can definitely interchange. Let's say, for example, this girl, I'm just interchanging it to, let's say, I'm just giving like a location instead of location. I'm just having ID type here, right? And then location, I'm just passing here like in UK. And here I'm just giving like UK 1, 2, 3, 4, just to identify like whether it is working, not working. Now look at here, it is giving us the details. Subbu, type is passport, ID is UK 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here we go. That is like processing center is UK. So far we are familiar with like the positional arguments and then keyword arguments, and then the combination. We can use the combination of positional arguments and keyword arguments. The takeaway is positional arguments should be first before the keyword arguments. So that's all about like how we can specify the arguments and how we can actually pass the arguments using the keywords basically. Now let me tell you another type of arguments that we can actually pass to the function, that is known as default arguments. Now here we go, Python file, and then I'm just giving function default argument. Function can have like default values. Let's say I'm having name and then ID type. Name is, if name is not defined, not given, I'm just giving unknown. If ID type is not defined, I'm just giving like let's say voter ID. Voter ID. I'm not passing anything. It should be voter ID. ID number, if it is not there, then I'm just giving not available. Location, no details given. Default will be India. Okay. So now I've just given default values. It's not mandatory that we have to specify the default values. We can actually do it in a different way. I'm just going to tell you, but in this case, I've just given default values to the each default values to each parameter, function parameter. Now if I'm calling the function KYC without anything, just look at here. Here we are defining 4 parameters. I'm not passing anything. Now if I'm running this program, what it is going to do? It is going to print like this: name equals to unknown, ID is voter ID, ID card is not available, processing center is India. Now okay, fine. What we can actually do here is I can actually pass like this, like KYC. I'm just giving here name is Subbu, right? I'm just giving Subbu. The first value is Subbu. I'm not specifying anything. Then ID type, I'm just giving passport, and then here I'm just giving location equals to US, and the number, passport number, I'm just giving ID number equals to US 1234. Now let us look at here what's going to happen with maybe if you want to differentiate, I can actually have print asterisk mark, maybe 50 times I can print. Okay. Now if I'm running this program, Control Shift F10 in Python, here you can see it is taking Subbu passport US 1234 and then US. Now what if I'm not actually passing any value here? Let's say KYC, Subbu and passport I'm passing, but I'm not passing for location and this one. Now what's going to happen? Let us see. Okay, I'm just passing like this. I'm not passing the last 2 values. I'm just calling Subbu passport. Or here I can say Yogi or your guess passport. Okay, so now or your guess to differentiate it, I'm just giving a pen. Now here you see, let us do one thing. Let us put a print statement here so that we can actually differentiate than actually typing it here. Okay, always. Now if I'm running this program, here you can see for your guess, I have just given 2 things, your guess pen, and then I have not passed the ID type and then the processing center. The default values are actually taken place here. What if I'm just giving KYC, I'm just giving here the basis. Okay. Now let us run the program and see what is going to happen. It is saying here it is the basis. All other details are set to defaults. Now let's say I want to actually call the function like this. Okay, I'm not giving anything over here. I'm just saying passport or ID type. ID type equals to, I'm just giving my UID. It's the other ID card. Okay, nothing else I'm passing. I'm just specifying, I'm just specifying, set the ID type to UID. All other details I'm not passing it. Or when I'm running this program, here you can see, let us look at the last part. Here it is saying ID type is none. Name is unknown. ID type is UID, and all other details are actually not available. What if I'm just passing, let's say I'm just passing ID type is this and name equals to name equals to Sai. Okay, so if I'm running this program, now here you can see it is giving like name equals psi, id types uid, and then id details are actually not available. So this type of values known, so this type of arguments are actually known as default argument. We can also have a combination of default versus non-default arguments. Default versus non-default arguments. Here you can see all arguments or all parameters having some default values. Now, whenever our requirement is to define the function with few parameters as default and 1 minute default param and non-default param. Now here we go. Name we cannot actually give as default. Now let us see like now. Definitely we'll see like now what's going to happen. Let's say name we have to pass ID. For example, if I'm giving here like no ID type is this and giving your name here, it is going to throw error because remember guys, in the previous program we have experienced the error. The non-default parameters should be present at the beginning. Non-default parameter follows by default parameter. That is the reason why it is throwing error, because non-default parameter should be at the beginning. That's the reason we are having name here. Okay, name, and then we have decided that ID type is like defaulted to voter ID. Then ID number ID number will be it should not be a ID number should not be a not available. ID number is a must to have. If I'm putting it here again the same error, we cannot actually include the non-default values in between two. We cannot have it at the last, we cannot have in between, it should be actually present at the beginning. So now ID number is a mandatory parameter. What I can actually do here is I can actually specify here ID underscore number. So this is like two non-default parameters followed by two default parameters. Now while calling this function, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call the function KYC. Let's say I'm just giving Subbu. Here we go. Subbu is a string, so we should quote it. And then I'm just giving ID number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then ID type is voter ID, then India. It is already defaulted parameters. So while calling the function, here you can see if I'm not passing anything, you can see Subbu's details will be set as Subbu, ID card is voter ID number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, location is India. Now here is the data. But what if I'm just passing the data like this? For example, I'm passing Subbu 1, 2, 3, 4. Then here I'm just giving, let's say, ID type, right? ID type, instead of Subbu, let me use some different name. I'm just giving here, let's say, Deva. Okay, so now here I'm just giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. ID type I'm just giving here as passport. Okay. Now location I'm not giving anything. Now in this case, the bus details will be updated, but instead of Subbu's detail, it is saying as voter ID. The bus detail is showing as passport because we are explicitly passing passport as parameter. Now, what if I'm having another record? Here I'm having the record for Satya. Okay, and here I am having the PAN card. PAN card I'm just giving 1 moment. I'm just giving the PAN card here. PAN card BBXP 1234G. Okay, so now here ID type I'm just giving PAN, and I'm not passing location. Now here in this case, Satya, then BBXP, this value will be the ID number, then ID type and all. So we can actually call this function like this. So this is also possible. Now look at here, Satya, PAN and all these things. It's not mandatory that you need to pass like this. We can also pass differently. Let's say I'm just giving KYC. Here I've just given ID type is passport. ID type passport, and then I do have the ID number. Basically here I'm just giving ID underscore number. ID number equals to GG1234, and then name equals to, I'm just giving here, let's say Deepak. Deepak. Okay, then I'm just passing here what is the location. I'm just giving location equals to friends. Okay, so now look at here. Even if I'm calling this, it is also going to work fine because we are using key value parameters. Okay, we are explicitly specifying what is your value and what is your key. So now in this case, you can see name Deepak, ID type passport, then ID is GG1234, and processing center is actually friends. So all these type arguments we can actually use the parameters like default parameter followed by non-default parameters. These combinations also can be used. So if we go ahead and look at the details here, we have gone through positional arguments, we have gone through default arguments, and we have used default arguments versus non-default arguments and all. And keyword arguments, we are also familiar with like now how to pass keyword arguments. We are passing keyword arguments over there. Now there is something known as arbitrary keyword arguments. Now how do we deal with arbitrary keyword arguments? New Python file, the function arbitrary keyword arguments, arbitrary keyword KW arguments. Okay. When I'm talking about like now arbitrary keyword arguments, I really don't know how many arguments I need to pass. This kind of function is actually supported in Python. Let's say I'm just going to use the same function. Okay, no, I'm just going to write another function. Let's say define, I'm just a demo function, or I can say like KYC, define KYC, and then here we go. Before we go here, I'm just going to put like arbitrary keyword arguments here. I'm just giving, let's say, info. Okay. Now here I'm just giving for k in info print I'm just giving like that is key, right? I'm just giving info.k, info of k. That's it. K in info, print info of k. Now, here I have a function. Sorry, I have a dictionary. Let's say I have a dictionary one. Okay, dictionary one, which is having Subbu's title. Now here I have like name Subbu, and then location giving India, and then here I'm just giving like experience. I'm just giving here 17, like this. So this is a dictionary. Now I'm just calling the function KYC of D1. KYC of D1. Now, if I'm running this program and see like now what's happening here, here you can see KYC text 0. Okay, KYC text 0 parameter. Okay, just 1 minute, guys. So let us try to understand it here. It says like the KYC text 0 positional arguments, but 1 was actually given. So now let us see like what I am actually missing here. Ideally, whenever we are actually passing the arbitrary keyword arguments, what we need to do is we need to actually call the function with keyword arguments, and I think we can actually pass the dictionaries too. I've never tried it. We can actually do this way. Let us see. Okay. So now in this case, let us skip this one. I'll just come back and then tell you. Like that unpacking is actually supported, but yeah, KYC. Okay, let me do this way. Study one. Yeah, so this is like now unpacking, and then I can actually give here. I was doing a mistake here. Okay, so this is how it should actually work. Unexpected argument name. Okay, I think this is correct actually. Okay, so now this is how we can actually pass. Basically, like I was missing the asterisk marks here. Now here you can see it is taking like arbitrary arguments. I'm just passing the reference here, and then the function is actually able to process it further. Okay, So this is arbitrary arguments. Now, whenever I'm having something like this, let's say, for example, I have a KYC. In the KYC, I want to actually pass some information like, let's say, uh, ID equals to, here I'm just giving passport, and here I'm just giving name equals to Subbu, or Deva I can give, name equals to Deva. Now here I'm just giving location equals to UK, and job equals to manager. Okay, now in this case, if I'm running this program, let us see like now how it is going to work. Now, okay, let me print a like an asterisk mark over here, or a hyphen 50 times or something like that. Hyphen I can give 50 times here. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, here you can see we are able to pass. In the first case we have given 3 parameters. Second case we are actually passing 4 parameters. Okay, so now this is known as packing and unpacking. Let's say when we are actually packing the variables, in this case we are actually using a dictionary, and we are actually unpacking it like this. Okay, the function can actually take it and unpack it. Okay, so when dealing with this kind of parameters, it is known as arbitrary parameters. So this is known as arbitrary parameters. Okay, arbitrary keyword, like no keyword arguments. I can say arbitrary keyword arguments. Arbitrary keyword argument means, now here I'm just using name, location, experience, here ID name, location, job, anything we can actually place in any order. Let's say I am having a D2, okay, dictionary 2, I have just given here dictionary 2. In the dictionary 2, I have, let's say here I'm just having like Deepak, and just here I'm having the first name I'm giving FN, and then location, let's say I'm just giving like primary location, it's India, and then here I'm just giving like permanent address, PADDR. Let's say I'm just giving here US. Okay, so now look at here. So this is D2. If I'm calling the function with this parameter D2, it is also going to work as expected. Okay, so now if I'm running this program, here you can see Deepak India US. Now, if you want to like print the details like what are the keys, what are the values, definitely you can actually do that. You can specify K, comma this, and then we can specify here separator equals to something like this. So now if I'm running this program, here you can see the values and keys. Okay, name Subbu, location India, and experience 17, ID passport, name Devasis, location UK, job manager, Deepak, then primary location and permanent address. So now here you see, in this case, we are actually not passing the parameters with strict parameter counts. Sorry, we are not passing strict parameter counts to the particular function. So that is the reason why it is known as arbitrary keyword arguments. Okay, in the arbitrary keyword arguments, if we don't know and we want to actually pass like key value pairs or dictionaries, put double asterisk mark. And while calling the, let's say for example, in this case, I'm just passing dictionary, right? Or I can actually pass key, then value. This is how we can actually pass. And this dictionary, and this known as packing and unpacking. Okay, and technically if you can actually Google or somewhere reading the documents, it's known as packing and unpacking the function parameters. Okay, so that's all about like arbitrary keyword arguments. Then the next one I'm going to tell you, that is known as variable length arguments. So now I'm having a function and then variable length arguments. Okay, so now in the variable length arguments, here we are actually using double star, right? In the previous program, we have actually used double star, but in case of variable argument, we can actually use a single star. That's it. So that is the only difference between variable length argument. So how to use it? Like now how we can actually use it, right? So let me do one thing. Here we can actually go ahead, define the function, and here I'm just giving like now dollar info, sorry, star info, and then I can actually see like what are the data we are getting from here. I can specify for item in because it will be a tuple basically, I in info, and then I'm just going to print that print I the iterator, or you can see like you can give a meaningful variable name over there. Print, I'm just printing like an asterisk mark and maybe 40 times. Okay, so this is how I have actually defined the function with arbitrary what you can say arbitrary sorry variable length arguments. Okay, so now in the variable length arguments, how we can actually pass the function. See here, I'm just giving like KYC, don't pass anything. KYC, don't pass anything. If I don't actually pass anything and running this program, let us see whether it is getting like giving us any error, nothing. No errors are actually given. What if I'm actually going to pass, what if I'm going to pass something different? Let's say I'm just having like no KYC, and then here I'm just giving 10, 20, 30. Okay, now running the program. Now look at here, when I'm passing 10, 20, 30, it is printing 10, 20, 30. Now, if I'm actually passing something like this, let's say I'm just having like a few names, and I can pass the names, let's say Deva, Subbu, and then my, okay, so now here if I'm running the program, here you can see like Deva, Subbu and my, okay. So now here you can see any n number of parameters you can actually pass. Think about, I'm having something like this, let's say tuple 1, and the tuple 1, whatever the data I have is, let's say Subbu's data we have 1000, then here I'm having Subbu and or Subhasis, and then I'm having location as India, and then I'm just giving it like a software. Now this is the data I have in T1. If I want to pass KYC of this T1, like how do I do it? If I pass it like star of T1, let us see whether it is able to unpack it. If I'm running this program, let us see. Okay, and if you look at here, it is actually able to unpack it. So now whenever you are having variable length arguments, you can pass it as a tuple too. Okay, so now in the previous program, here we are actually passing a dictionary using double star. Okay, because that is key value pair and known as keyword argument. But variable length argument, whenever you want to actually pass a tuple, we can actually pass the tuple like this. So this is known as variable length argument. Now let me do like write it here. This is known as variable length argument. Okay, so now let us go back here and try to understand keyword argument. It is done, right? And then it is known as arbitrary keyword argument, or variable length argument is also known as arbitrary keyword, sorry, arbitrary arguments too. So these are different type of arguments we can pass to Python function. Okay, different ways we can actually pass the argument to the Python function. We can also pass once you are actually familiar with object-oriented programming, and then there are various type of object also we can pass as function parameters, so that is possible. Okay, so that's all about the function arguments. The next is return values. So now let us see what is return value. Any function, whenever we are actually writing or defining any function, we can actually return the values. it can return one value or multiple values, which is supported in Python. So how do we return the values from a function? It is by default, if you're not having return statement or return keyword within the function body, the function returns none. Let us try to understand how it is working, in Python. Let me write the function like Python file. Here I'm just giving function return example, return example. Here I'm giving a demo function, define demo, and in the demo function I don't have anything. I'm just having a print statement, and it says hello world, hello world. If I go ahead, call the demo function directly, here you can see it is going to return hello world. But if I print it, like print demo, and then in this case you can see it returns none. It prints it will be printing hello world, where that is the print statement, but the return type of this function is actually none. Okay, the function returns none. So by default the function returns none. Now how do I make it more meaningful? How I can actually get a return value? For example, I'm just writing a function that is defined. Let's say I'm just giving a like an arithmetic operation. Okay, and I'm just taking two numbers, num1, num2, or n1, n2, anything is fine. Okay, now here I'm just saying return num1 plus num2. Return num1 plus num2. Most of the time when you are actually writing functions, definitely you will be dealing with return. 99.99% of cases will be actually dealing with return values. So that is the use case of function. That is the reason why we are actually using function. Function should return something. For example, you just look at split in strings, right? Or you can say length, it is returning length. Or you can say any functions, whatever we have actually, the methods we have actually gone through, right? In the dictionary, tuple, string, and set, everywhere, right? So it returns something. Okay, so now whenever we are actually using this like arithmetic operation num1 num2, then or I can actually say sum num1 num2. Okay, so now here if I am giving sum of 10 comma 20, see here we do not have a print statement. Now I'm just giving sum 10 20. Let us see what is going to happen. Now here it is not printing anything, but if you are actually going to try this in the console, you are definitely going to get 30. But if you are actually doing this inside the program, we have to explicitly use a print sum of 10 20. We are calling sum of 10 20, and then if I'm running this program, here you can see it is actually returning 30. Now here I'm just giving result equals to sum of, I'm just giving here 100, 200, 100 and 200. Now here I'm just giving print result. In this case, sum is going to return num1 plus num2, that is 300. Result will be having 300. So print result is going to print 300. If I'm running this program, here you can see 300. Let's say you want to actually extend this program. It can take n number of values, maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 values, 5 values. It should actually sum it and then return it. How do we do it? There are better ways we can do it, but let us do it using the function. Let me write it here now. New Python file, function return example. Okay, now here I'm just giving define. Here we are talking about n number of numbers, that is arbitrary numbers. Now if it is arbitrary numbers, I can actually say num. Now what we can actually say here is, we can say result equals to 0, result equals to 0. Now for n in num, like each number in numbers, okay, what we are going to do, we are going to sum it. I can say like result plus equals to all these things we have already gone through. I'm just like using the same learning whatever in the previous sessions we have covered, right? So I'm just doing that. So now return, I'm just saying like return result. Now done. Now here what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to print sum 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Now look at here what it is going to return. It is returning 15. Okay. Now if I'm going to do result equals to result equals to result equals to sum of, I'm just giving 11.4, 11.4, 15.9, comma minus 89.07, then 23, then comma 100. Now here I'm just printing result, print result. Now in this case, what it is going to return is it is returning like 61 point something. So now just look at here, the sum function we have given, and it is doing like now the things like very nicely. So this is how you can actually deal with arbitrary arguments, like any arithmetic operation you can actually do that. Now anything also you can actually return, like for example, after result I want to actually know, let's say I'm calling the result, for example here I'm just calling the function. I'm just trying to understand what is the type of this, what is the type of this function call. Like after I'm calling this, what is the type I want to print. Now here you can see it is saying class int, it is returning a class int type, it is returning a class int type. Now if I'm giving something like this, let's say I'm having a sum, and let us say like what it is going to do. Let's say I'm just giving sum. Here I've just given a b and then cd, a b and cd. Let us see what it is going to do. Right here I'm just giving a b c d. It is saying like this operation is actually not supported because we cannot add. Here result is initiated to 0. With 0 we cannot actually do this kind of operation, so this is actually going to throw error. Okay, I'm just putting it here for your reference. So we cannot actually int. Why it is saying like int we cannot do, because result is actually having int over here, and here we are actually passing strings, so we cannot concatenate between int and string, so that is not at all supported. If I want to return multiple values from a function, how do I do it? That is the next example. How do I do it? Like multiple returns. Now new Python file. Here I'm just giving here function and multiple return, right? Multiple return values. The multiple return values. Let's say I'm having a function here define arithmetic operation, and here I'm just having like n1 and n2 as numbers. Okay, two numbers. Now I want to return n1 plus n2 and n1 minus n2. Just giving like return n1 plus n2 and then comma. This is how we can actually pass like return multiple values from a function n1 minus n2. Then I can specify also return n1 star n2, then also return n1 divided by n2. Like this is what I'm going to return. Four values I'm returning from the function. Now here I'm just, when I'm calling this function, how we can actually print it. Let's say for example, see here, let's say print, I'm just giving print. Okay, now arithmetic operation, I'm just giving 10 comma 20. Now if I'm running this program, let us say what is returning? It is returning as a tuple. How do I know? Here you can put a type. Whenever we are having multiple values, we can actually return the values like this. Okay, so type is actually a tuple. Okay, so now if I am calling this function, this is actually going to return as a tuple. Function is returning as tuple. Now if I'm giving like 100 and 200, and here I'm just giving like a no type, only do the processing. Now here you can see it is giving 300 minus 100 and all these things. To make it more meaningful, we can also unpack it. Like we are getting a tuple, we can definitely unpack it. How do I unpack it? Let's say the first one is I'm just giving like sum, division, sorry, sum, then subtraction, sum, subtraction, then SUBS, I'm just giving subtraction, then multiplication, then giving like a division. These are the four variables. I'm just giving here, do the arithmetic operation of this is giving you 1000 and 2000. If I'm giving you like print sum, what is the sum is sum here. And if I want like division, multiplication and all these things, I can actually do this way. So this is known as unpacking. So now let's say here I'm just giving like a minus operation or subtractions. So I'm just giving here like subtraction, and then multiplication I can actually give like multiplication, and division I can give like division over here, div, and here also I can give some like division, multiplication and etc. So these things are we can actually do it. If I'm running this program, here you can see it is actually giving unpacking the values accordingly. Like 3000 is the sum, then subtraction is 1000, and all these things are actually possible. Okay, now what if you want to actually take two numbers as actual input and then pass it to the function? We can actually do that. Let's say I'm just giving here like num1 comma num2. Anyway, like we can actually do it. Okay, num1 num2 like this, int of input of, right, enter two numbers, then what we can do, like we can actually split it into two numbers, and then I can actually split it, dot split, sp dot split. Okay, so now we can actually do this way. I think it should work. Let us see. This is not working, then we need to do something else. I'll just tell you, like notice that. So now here I can specify print arithmetic operation of num1 num2. So this is also possible, num1 num2. Okay, if I'm running this program, here you can see, the enter two numbers it is asking. I'm just going to give 11 and 12. Here you can see, okay, what is this? The arguments must be string, byte like object. Okay, that's it. Okay, maybe we can actually do this way. Now just run it. Now here I'm just giving 11 and 12. Type S is actually non-supported operand. Okay, I see. So now the we need explicit typecasting. We can actually do that. Okay, I'll just yesterday also we have gone through the example. Here you can do like this: enter a number. We can actually do a casting, and then let us remove the split here. Okay, so integer number 1, and then here we can definitely do integer of number 2, enter a number or enter another number, and we can actually do the casting multiple ways we can actually do it. Let me use the simplified version here, okay, then making it more complex. So now here I'm just running it here and then giving 11, enter a number 11, enter another number 12. Here you can see like 23 and all these operations. Okay, so this is quite doable. So these are the things like what we can actually do using the return type. So return, what are the takeaways? Return can return like multiple values too. Return can return multiple values too. So with this we are actually done with the return values. Nested functions, we have gone through it. Nested functions, yesterday I was actually showing the scope, right? The local scope, non-local scope, right? So if you are not able to like recollect, then let me write it again. Nested function, nested function, nested example, function, nested example. This is small, like in a very small function I'm going to write, demo. Let's say this is a demo function. I'm not taking any parameters over here. And I'm just passing, let's say print, or I can actually give something like num equals to, or location equals to Wrangler, or name equals to Subbu. Anything is fine. Okay. Let's say give my name equals to Subbu. Now I am having a demo one. Demo one is another function, and we should actually do it define demo one, right? And then here I'm just giving non-local name one. Okay, now name one equals to, let's say I'm just here giving like a Deepak. Okay, now print, here I'm just giving welcome, name one. And if I want to print here before this function name, I'm giving here name, and then and here I'm just changing the name value to the basis, and here I'm just giving like a print welcome, then the basis, or I can say like hi the basis here. Anything is fine. And then this is defined, and then I'm just calling the function like I'm just calling demo one. And outside this, let's say it is non-local, and whether it is actually available outside of this function, let us check that. Okay, print hi, then or hello. Here I can say name one. Okay, name one. So now here you can see this is actually a nested function. Function inside functions. Real-time use cases, if you want like any worker functions, right, inside the, let's say you are writing a function and you feel like there is a requirement of writing a wrapper function which can be reused throughout this function body, you can actually define this function. We cannot actually call a nested function outside of this. Let's say if I'm calling like demo one, it is not, the scope is not available. See here, it is only showing like demo scope is actually available. But inside the function body, if I go ahead here right now, if I type demo, it is actually suggesting demo is available, demo one is actually available. Okay, so recursion is another concept we are going to learn like tomorrow. I'm just going to tell you that like recursion, there is a limit to like up to some extent we can actually use recursion, but that is a different concept altogether. So now here you can call the demo function, and if I'm calling the demo function, let us see how it is actually going to work. Now here you can see non-local syntax error, the binding non-local name one equals Deepak, and it is not available here. Okay, we'll see like why it is not available. That's fine. So now let me comment out for now here demo one. Now here I'm just going to run the program again. Syntax error, no binding for non-local name one found. Okay, I think something I'm missing. Non-local name, it should ideally, what is the variable? Let's say I'm just going to do one thing, print name one. The non-local means it should be available outside of this. function due to some reason it is not working. Okay, we'll do one thing, like, we'll explore further on this particular topic, the non-local and all. Maybe there are few other things I need to cover too, like nested functions and then lambda. Let us cover it, like, tomorrow. And there is something known as map